Hi, it's really nice to be here. Really lovely to be back in Gdańsk. My first time back for a few years. I provide digital consultancy in digital learning, mainly language learning, for publishers globally, I suppose, but mainly in Europe. And I've also working in scholarly publishing for a company called Ingenta, working with a team that supports about 200 publishers, mainly in Europe and North America.
All right. First of all, I'd like to thank you for your role of being a keynote speaker here. Could you tell me what do you think about this event, about your presentation?
Well, thank you for inviting me. It was a pleasure, and it was a good opportunity for me to take stock and share some of the thoughts, research and thoughts I've had about the impact of mobile learning on education over the last 10 years. And I think that fits quite well into the mLearning Summit because it feels a very special event where you've got 30 to 40 of your key customers represented. It's incredibly impressive. Most of the projects I've worked on in recent years, we've had authors and editors having to work on basically Word documents as part of the editorial process. And it's very hard when you're doing that to see the final product. I know when I've created digital products on websites in the past, and certainly when we had a suite of authoring tools in Flash, it was very satisfying and much more efficient to be able to write directly to screen, to edit directly to screen, because it's different looking at something on flat and trying to visualize all the digital assets rather than assemble them directly. So I hadn't heard of mAuthor. I've never come across anything quite like it. Certainly now, I mean, there've been other products in Flash. There are other products based in old in the 1990s that allowed you to create learning resources, but nothing like this. And you can see the excitement of the publishers on how much stuff and how quickly they're able to produce their content, and also looking at the demonstrations, they're producing really good quality learning resources. So you're getting the sort of magic tree things of being able to produce quality materials very quickly and very efficiently. Once you see that, you think there's no going back, really. You just want to do that.
Okay, so we agree that the future of education is both print and digital. None of this is going away, and they will be kind of working together. But talking about the digital stuff, I think the most important aspect of any digital learning resource is the interactivity. Would you agree on this?
Interactivity is key, yeah. And students consciously look for games. They want stuff, I think some of them might want stuff that's purposeful as well, and it needs to be meaningful. But I think the more fun you can put into, simple gamification, I think the better. And also linked to that, I think you need good production values, good quality images, videos, sound, of course.
I think we'll agree that choosing the right authoring tool is the most important thing. So can you tell me why mAuthor?
Well, I should probably add that I started with the company about 3 years ago, and the decision was made before I got there. But I'm one of the primary users, and I really do like it, and I'm glad that they chose it.
All right.
And I actually started working at Carolina about a year ago for Caroline, and it was one of the first technologies that I worked with at all. I wasn't an IS when I started a year back, and mAuthor was just so responsive and so easy to learn and so adaptive that it actually encouraged me to get more into the information sciences. So I think that it works incredibly well for the products that we put out for students, and we can respond to what teachers want really easily because it's so adaptive.
All right, great. So you said that you like using mAuthor. I know that Betsy told us, but could you tell us something more about why you like working with Amato?
Yeah, well, so like she said, it's easy to use, it's intuitive. I haven't really had a whole huge amount of training for the amount of time that I spend working on it. Every day I work in it, and I had an extensive I think maybe it was a full week of training when I first started. Wojciech or some of your team came and to the U.S. and trained me, and then I've been to Poland once before and got some additional few days of training, and that has really been it. And I've been able to figure out what I need to know from the documentation, and just you guys have been really available via email anytime I have a question. So it's really accessible in all ways.
My name is Myron Sisden, and I'm the president of the European Foundation for Technology and Education. We work with ISTE in the United States and various other organizations to help expand the role of educational technology in schools throughout Europe.
Okay, that's perfect. We talked before how crucial it is to choose the correct authoring tool for your e-content development team. So why did you choose mAuthor, and what benefits can you see using it?
I chose mAuthor first of all because it had the widest range of functionality and because it's the most dependable and has the most features, okay? But more so than that, the reason I chose mAuthor is because it's built specifically for the needs that we have in schools today and moving forward into the future. The needs of classroom technology are very different and much more specific than they are in the consumer world. You need more variety. You need more modules. You need more of the ability of flexibility, for instance, to create a vast different numbers, workbooks and textbooks and sheets and all kind of stuff.
And the gamification aspect.
And the gamification aspect is super critical. You have to be able to engage and interact with your students on every single screen, okay, to keep them interested. You have to be able to create this for mobile. It has to play on a lot of different devices. This is all very tricky stuff. mAuthor by far does the best job of doing that.
Yeah, that's perfect. Some publishing houses may be concerned that moving into SAS model might be dangerous for them in some way, and they might not feel very comfortable using the SAS model. What would you say to those people who are still concerned about using system as a software?
The SAS model is the standard. Publishers don't need to be deciding what's standard. I mean, they're already using the SAS model if their site is being hosted on a hosting service somewhere, let's say GoDaddy or Amazon Web Services or whatever. They're already using SAS services. Everybody is using SAS services. Microsoft Word is using SAS now. InDesign and the rest of the Adobe suite are using SAS now. What they think that they have when they're internalizing this with their own desktop, they think they're exercising control, when actually they're not exercising control. The software is still on their computer and is still going to change. They're just adding cost. I've developed authoring modules, just limited ones for many of the publishing clients that I have. And it's expensive and it's limited. Why wouldn't you want to use the same functionality that a lot of other publishers are using and concentrate on what's important to you as a publisher? What's important to you as a publisher is not to develop your own authoring system or your own authoring modules. That's a technical task. It should be done by Learnetic, the same as Word. Microsoft does it for Word. What publishers should be concentrating on is developing quality content that really enhances the educational experience on the platform. I want to tell a story about this. The first time I went to an educational conference when I joined the American Association of Educational Publishers, they asked me what my impression was at the end of the first conference, and I said, I think my first impression is that it sounds like you're selling iPads. All you ever talk about are iPads. Do you work for Apple? Why aren't you talking about what it is that you're doing? Okay? Mm-hmm. Why are you constantly now everybody's talking about authoring. 7 years ago or 5 years ago, everybody was talking about the iPad. That's not what you do. Do what you do. Help students learn. And as to where the software is located, you're not going to change the trend. It's in the cloud because that's where everything is. So enjoy it and take advantage of the money you can save, which is a lot of money.
And if you were to choose one biggest advantage of e-publishing, what would you say?
The biggest advantage of e-publishing is interactivity and reach. I call it engagement in the front, collecting data in the back. Okay, so technology allows you to use the device that students already have. Okay, they're already going to be looking at screens all the time because that's what they do. Instead of allowing them to be engaged only by consumer products, you're engaging them to actually learn in a curricular fashion if you're developing your materials correctly. Without using these technology platforms, you're not really going to engage students. You have to some degree, to a large degree, use technology tools. The second huge advantage is the data that you're collecting. Okay, if you want to personalize learning, which is the whole point of technology and of any personal technology, then you have to collect data to personalize. You're not going to do that on paper. I mean, you can sit there and go through everything, but what are you going to do? In order to collect that data, you're then going to have to take it off the piece of paper and enter it into the computer. Yeah. That's not smart, okay? Collecting that data allows you to further personalize the experience. First you engage them, now you got their attention. They're interacting. When they interact, they give you data on the interactions, thereby personalizing. Can it be done in print? Sure, one student at a time with no automation. That's the advantages of online delivery. If you're not going to, I tell my clients, if you're not going to do interactions and you're not interactivities and you're not going to collect data, don't even bother with online. Don't even go there. You have to do that. That's the point of what you're doing. So, and once you do that, you'll discover that your students and your customers that are buying your materials will be happier.
My name is Tanja Todorovic and I work for CLED Serbia. We deal with digital textbooks as well as print, and we separated our teams about 2 years ago, and I lead the digital team that makes all of the materials. We do supplement some of the materials from external sources, but we try and develop as much as we can because that way it can suit our specific curriculums and our specific lessons. And that is our goal, to make the most functional content possible.
I see. Okay. I know that everyone was so impressed with your presentation.
Thank you.
Can you tell us something about what did you talk about?
I presented our digital textbooks for the 2nd and 6th grade, and we tried to upgrade our template every year a little bit. And we've tweaked both the modules, the way the mAuthor deals with them, and we've even tweaked the editor itself to suit our specific needs.
Okay, and you do work in mAuthor yourself?
I did. I worked as a designer for a while when we just started the project. It was actually just 3 or 4 of us. We had 1 programmer and 2 designers, and I was one of the designers. So I started as a designer working in mAuthor, and that actually helped me a lot when dealing with organization now as a manager, because I knew all the strong suits of the mAuthor and I knew some of the challenges, so I could help my team overcome them and deal with their training.
Absolutely. Can you tell us something about your biggest accomplishment, professional accomplishment related with mAuthor?
I would have to say that my team's biggest accomplishment with mAuthor are changes that we have implemented into our new template for this year. We've actually managed not only to automate some of the modules, like the connections and the pop-ups and some other things that used to require work on particular advanced connectors. Like, we no longer have to make more advanced connectors to connect certain modules.
Wow, that's splendid.
We have them automatically connected just by changing the IDs.
Okay.
And we have tweaked the editor itself. So now we have a drop-down menu with our own modules and our own IDs and inline CSS codes that can be listed in the editor directly. So
great.
I really have to praise my team. They did a lot. The designers had a lot of creative requests. Our programmers had some really great solutions. We're still testing it and tweaking it, so I didn't present it yesterday.
Okay.
but I am very proud of what they've done.
We use an mAuthor to create interactive type of games mostly, and embedded it with native mobile application.
Okay. In your professional opinion, how can a publishing house benefit from using authoring tool?
An authoring tool can save money if they provide ways to use same code in different type of services. So for web, mobile, and possibly desktop. So they will spend less money doing the same stuff.
As a designer, I personally like the what you see is what you get approach, but I sat in an office with just programmers for a long time. So I do have to say in their name that we do appreciate how flexible mAuthor is and how much CSS and JavaScript programming we can implement. That has really helped us in conjunction with the what you see is what you get editor. It has really helped us a lot to take our things to the next level. I've seen some other editors, but the approach seemed a bit more rigid. I like that the mAuthor is flexible enough so that the programmers can work in it, the designers can work in it, the editors can check the content in it. So that flexibility is really a big plus and really the main reason why we work with you.
I see.
My name is Gro Jørgensen. I'm the head of Cyberbook. I've founded it. And we are a digital publisher. 90% of our income is from digital content.
That's great.
Yeah.
So it's like all the people around the world knows that Norway is a capital country of Tesla cars, etc., and electricity, some new technologies.
Yeah.
So I see that also we are the leader in digitalizing.
Yes, we are.
books.
Yes, and that has high priority of the government.
Okay.
They have a program now that will spend a lot of money for supporting the digital content.
I see. So you also do some traditional school books?
As few as less as we can. But
And
we have some. We have
some
some.
digital content that has printed books as additionals, but
For immigrants.
yes.
okay,
teach-
but 90% of your market of what
Oh,
you do
yes, yeah.
are the cyber books, just like your company.
yeah.
From how long do you do those books?
We do those books we started with only digital content in 1996.
Okay.
And then we were ought to or forced to by the government to publish some printed material due to a
see.
project we had in 2003.
Yeah. So probably the first digital material were in Flash or even something
it was
before Flash.
CD-ROM. Before Flash, what was it called?
From 96 it was mainly CD-ROMs,
Okay.
and then we had the online portal from 2000, I think. Our
we
own
made
portal.
ourselves.
Yeah.
And then we
had
changed to another online portal in 2003, and then we based our courses on Java. I like that you add more and more features, and I like that you are very free to be creative, because you can use the advanced connector and add the JavaScript, and also you are free to edit the CSS text file.
I'm Isabel Rangel. I'm from Porto Editora, and I'm the multimedia division director.
Okay, great.
And I'm Salome Menezes. I'm a content manager and as well in the multimedia department at Porto Editora.
Okay, so tell me something about Porto Editora, about the educational market in Portugal.
Well, Porto Editora is the largest publishing house in Portugal, and it's a very old company, 75 years old.
Nice.
But it's been leading educational market since almost the beginning, and it's a very visionary company. So they started using digital very early, and now we are also leading in this market.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And are you focused especially on digital market or traditional books or both?
Porto Editora is on the both sides,
Yeah.
and we try to combine everything. So make a smooth transition from traditional to digital, but also having new business models for digital and for schools.
Yeah.
Deal with that.
So we are also focused on educational market.
Yes, educational market, not
Okay.
only publishing.
I'm David Heller. I'm the Director of Curriculum Products and Development at Carolina Biological Supply Company. We're a 95-year-old science supply company that supplies materials, specimens, curriculum materials, and kits to kindergarten through university level schools in the U.S. And also internationally.
That's perfect. Could you tell me what, in your professional opinion, is the best or the biggest advantage of e-publishing in comparison to traditional printing processes?
So, to me, the biggest advantage is that it gives the students another medium to engage with. We try to make sure that with teaching science, we try to reach students at many different levels in their ability levels and also their interests. So through hands-on investigations that they do, also integrating digital supplemental activities helps them understand and investigate phenomenon in the science realm. So making sure that they can interact with things both with their hands on the screen that reinforces the concepts that they'll learn through their lessons.
We've actually tested mAuthor for a while before we decided to work with them, and we actually love working with the tool. We find it's robust for an online editor. We find it's easy to use. Our users learn it really fast, so it's a nice tool.